I had a disturbing event that happened last night. I was talking to my son. He called me, and he said, "Mom, I watched your video. I was shocked to see you on TV, on YouTube." I said, "Yeah, Chad, I finally did it." His name's Chad. And then he said, "Mom, it wasn't very good." I was brokenhearted. What? He's my best critic of all, though. Of course, my husband didn't like it either. Anyway, so they've already heard all the stories. Maybe that's why they don't like it. But anyway, he said, my son said, "Your scenery was horrible in the background." Now, I said, "But Chad, it was the easiest place to do it, and that's my bedroom, and I love it, and I didn't want to leave it." He said, "Mom, do better." Well, I didn't take a film class and a scenery class. I was the costume designer of plays before, though, so I know how to dress the people. I just didn't know the scenery. So anyway, I'm trying harder today to have a better background. This is my living room, and I have really tall windows, so the lighting is better in here. Even though the windows are dirty, the light still comes through. How am I going to get up there to wash those windows? And there's flies. 'Tis the season, right? Fly season. All right, anyway, back to what I'm going to talk about today. I was taking my bath this morning, I got up early because I was going to be faster today, but here it is, 11:30 a.m., and I'm just now ready. Good thing I don't have a job. I love retirement. Anyway, I'm thinking in my bathtub, what am I going to talk about today for my video? I decided I'm going to talk about my favorite subject, raising children. Maybe it's not my favorite. I have many favorite subjects, probably, but this is one of them. My whole life, what I ever wanted to be was a mother, playing with my dolls. I still have my dolls. I'll show them to you sometime. Anyway, so I'm going to tell you things that I told my children. I don't know if it helped them be a better adult, but it's things that will help you when your children have issues like fighting. Do your kids fight? Do they say, "He touched me first"? They're poking me, they touched me first, especially in the car and stuff. All right, I had the rule with my children, and I had 4 boys first before I had a girl. So 4 boys, they are like fighting all the time and wrestling and touching each other. Oh, it was just noisy. And finally, I came up with the rule, you're not allowed to touch each other, because then that solved everything. If they couldn't touch each other, they couldn't be wrestling and roughhousing and stuff. And so that's what I said many times a day. Don't touch each other. You're not allowed to touch each other. So try that one, and do it when they're young. Always do it when they're like 2 or 3. Start your rules, because, then they'll grow up knowing we're not allowed to touch each other. Of course, if they do fight and you make them hug each other after the fight, that's okay. Hugging's okay, but not touching each other. All right, another thing, when they were fighting, and they were just like, or like when they went somewhere and you said, "You have to take your little brother with you, be nice." "No, I want to be with my friends. I don't want my brother." I had the saying. I made it up because I realized in my life it really was true. Friends will come and go, but your brother's going to be your brother the rest of your life. Isn't it true? How many friends did we have in grade school? Where are they? I don't know where they are. I don't have any of those friends anymore. So they're not important. Friends, they're just going to come and go. But your brother, they're the ones that we still keep in contact. Hopefully, if you're not, too estranged from them, you're going to have them for the rest of your life. All right. I spoke about this one the other day. My kids, go take the garbage out, go do the dishes. They had chores to do because they live there too. They don't get free room and board. They have to help out. And so I always had a chore for each one, and they did it for a month. Like they were vacuum boy, garbage boy, bathroom boy, and dishes boy. And they had to do that every day. They didn't, but, And then I found out my son, bathroom boy, he said he just went in there and sat and he didn't really clean. I never noticed. That was horrible. But anyway, so they had their chores. And then they, like bathroom boy or garbage boy or dish boy, they didn't want to, I don't want to put my hands in that. It's dirty. So I always, my favorite saying, hands do wash. Get in there. After you're done, wash your hands. You'll be fine. Go take the garbage out. So it didn't always work, but anyway, I was not going to waste money on gloves for them. Like they have cheap ones nowadays. Back then, I don't think they did. So then, I was a poor single mother at times, and my car wasn't very good. And back then, they didn't have car seat and seatbelt laws like they do nowadays. So we had kind of a small car, had a Mazda one time, and, you know, I had 6 kids. And they'd climb in, and of course, they're not allowed to touch each other, so it was kind of, you know, the exception to the rule. I said, get in. And then they would be complaining, it's too small and everything. Well, of course, the cousins had a van. The grandparents, you know, had a bigger car than we did. Everybody had a bigger car and a van and everything. And we, with 6 kids, just had this little car. So I would always tell them, pretend it's a van. So finally, when I married my husband now, they were older, but he had a van, and I know my one son got in, and he goes, we don't have to pretend it's a van anymore. See, they appreciated it. You teach them appreciation, okay? Now, and that's the joke, pretend it's a van. I hear him saying that a lot. Now, table manners. Do you have problems at the table with children? Putting their legs up, you know, their knees up and stuff. I know in Pretty Woman, she had her legs up at the table when in that one scene. And then when I was watching the movie, the other movie, A Star is Born, with the singer Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. I'm getting it. Just give me time. I don't really like Madonna. How old am I? I don't really like this lady very much. See, now look, I need to rewind and get that out of there, but I can't remember, I can't do it because it's too hard. Anyway, the lady, singer, and Bradley Pitt, they were in the scene in A Star is Born, and she and he had their legs up at the table again, just like in Pretty Woman. I noticed that. They're copying. But anyway, when my kids did it, I always said what my grandma would say, get your logs down from the table. I never did it, but my sister, she would always put her legs up there at the table when you're eating, and you don't want to see knees. There's my husband mowing the lawn. I don't think you'll hear it probably because the microphone's too far away. Anyway, so get your logs down from the table. Don't do that. It's bad manners. So, now, Christmas time is coming. How many times do parents say, make your Christmas list? What are you doing thinking about telling kids to do that? That is teaching them to be gimme, gimme, gimme. Make my list of gimme, gimme, gimme. That's horrible that parents do that to teach their kids. You're supposed to observe your children and see what they want for Christmas and what they can use and everything. You don't just give them a la carte, here, make up your list. You're just asking for trouble then. And you know, they're not going to think, oh, that might cost too much. Oh, I better not. Santa may not have the money or anything. Do not ever give a piece of paper and have a kid make a list. Don't do that to your husband or anybody. So I would tell the children, you just let Santa bring what he wants you to have. And that is the rule. Santa will bring you what he wants you to have. And then they're like, I wonder what I'm getting for Christmas. I said, stop worrying about what you're getting for Christmas. You need to start worrying about what you're going to give away for Christmas. Because I wanted them not to be so gimme, gimme. I wanted them to realize that they're supposed to be the givers, not gimme, gimme. And that leads to whining and begging and kids saying please. Now, I know please and thank you are nice words to say. And I like a good thank you, and I like a nice please. But when a little child, when please becomes a begging word, I have seen this so many times. A little child with the parent, and they want something in the store, and they're hanging on the parent. Please, please, please. Oh, you look ugly when you say please. Anyway, or they're just, you know, whining and begging for it, and please, please, please becomes a begging word. And I would tell them, no, do not beg. Beggars and whiners get nothing. And that was my rule, and I stuck to it because I hated that. So, do not let your children use the please word as a begging word, because that is rude. Please should be a nice word. Please help me, not a begging and a whining word. You get what I mean? All right. Now, another rule I had with my children, and I bet you might have had this happen. You're in the store, or you're talking to somebody on the sidewalk, and your kid wants to go, and what do? They start honking the horn. Hurry, Mom, hurry. Hanging out the windows, honking. My rule, I never let my children hang out the windows, because I said, you look like lowlifes hanging out the windows like that. Don't you ever do that. So they weren't allowed to do that. And the other thing was, if you honk at me, I will take longer. It's a good rule, because we don't want our kids ruling the roost, right? And letting them think that they can tell us we have to hurry, or we have to come, or we have to, No, you're the kid, you're waiting in the car for me. Do not honk, or I will take longer, and you will wait longer. So that always worked. And the other thing with that was, here's your little kid, and they want their friend to come over or something, and they come up to you, and the friend's right there, and they ask in front of the friend, can they come over? And you're really thinking, no, that friend of yours is a brat. I don't want him at my house. Or you're thinking, no, we have a good cake at home, and I don't want to share it with your friend. If they come, we'll have to give them some. Or whatever, We all have reasons why we don't want the kid to come. And if they ask in front of the kid, then you got to lie, or you got to say something like, no, or usually I had to say yes, because they asked in front of the kid. So my big rule was, you do not ask me in front of your friends, or the answer will always be no, with a big glare. No. All right, so that was a rule too. Now, I never had this rule, and I wish I did, so I'm telling you, because you need to all have this rule. My son has it. Do not let your children spend the night at other people's houses. That is the best rule I have ever heard. I'm so sad I didn't have that rule with my kids. And he told me, he's the school teacher, and he said that his principal one time told him that a percentage, I don't know what it is, because I can't remember, a percentage of children get in trouble when they're spending the night at other people's houses. Like they could sneak out, they could go, they have different rules than your family does, on and on and on. So, from the very beginning, he has the rule, no, we don't spend the night at other people's houses. Now, they did get to spend the night at my house because I was the grandma. That was okay. But I love that rule. And I know one time my daughter was spending the night with somebody, and she called me, and she was crying and saying, it was like, midnight, I want to come home. I said, what? Well, what's the matter, Well, they all went to sleep, and they didn't give me a blanket, and I don't know where to go, and I just want to come home. Of course, I went and got her and stuff, but, you don't ever know sometimes what the situation is. You don't know if the dad's going to be a drunk, or even though you think they're good people, and you think they're good friends, it will be safe. No. So, just have that rule from the very beginning. And if they ask, no, we don't allow anybody to spend the night. Now, it's up to you if you want to have them spend the night with you. I never did because I had 6 kids and we didn't have a spare place for another kid. Or maybe they just didn't even want to stay there because there were too many kids. But my kids had cousins, too, to play with. But anyway, now I got to turn the page for my next thing because I can't remember what it was. But when I look at my page and I read it, then I can remember. All right. All right. When we had family dinners, I have a big family out in Oregon, and sometimes I would have them all over, and here I have them all over for dinner. And you know how little children are? Have you ever seen them at the buffet picking at the food? And then you're like, oh, they licked the spoon or whatever. One time I was in a restaurant. I saw this little kid take the dressing at the salad bar and licked the dressing off the spoon and put it back in there. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a salad that day. But kids are like that, right? My son, the school teacher, he said, oh, kids are slobs. They don't even know what they're doing. They don't even think about it. Third graders. Anyway, so when we have family dinners, we always had the rule. We let the adults, the older people, go through the buffet first, because I always lay it out at the buffet. Go through first, and then the children can come through. Best idea ever, because then you know the food has not got contaminated by the children. It only got contaminated by the adults, probably. Anyway. And the last one I'm going to talk about, because I have a whole nother page, but it'll be part 2 someday. Respect others' homes. This is a big one. I told my children, you know, have you taught your children, take your shoes off when you go to people's house? They might have that rule. Some don't. But, you know, I have had grandkids that are naughty, and they come and what gave them permission to rearrange the furniture or take pillows into other rooms? What gave them permission that they thought that they could do some of that stuff to your house? I mean, you know, they do jump on the couches and stuff, but worse things like that, worse than that. And I'm just like, you got to teach your kids to have respect for other people's houses, and don't go in there and, you know, destroy things. I just can't believe that one time this kid took the batteries out of my remote for his little game or something and stole them. How could you do that? That was rude. So you got to teach your children how to respect other people's houses and not destroy them when they go there. Of course, they're not spending the night there, so we know we already set that one straight. And they're not touching each other, and they're not going to be begging and whining, please, because that's not going to work. Anyway, these are some of the rules that I used to teach my kids, and I had. So maybe it might help you a little. Not really, because you got to think about it right away. I always thought about it right away. All right. Love your children. Hug them and love them. And time goes by so fast. They grow so fast. And my little granddaughter, I just can't believe she turned 8. She graduated, and she turned 18, and she went off. And I didn't even get to enjoy her, and she's gone. And I'm just, you know, so sad. So these little children grow so fast, and I hear mothers just whining because, oh, it's so hard. No, enjoy them. Because pretty soon they'll be adults, and it's like, where did my little baby go? All my children died, it seems like, because they're not around anymore. Just that big man can't come out of me and be my son. How did he get there? Where's my little child? So enjoy your kids, and think about when you were a kid and how you would want to be treated, and then you'll be a better parent. All right, bye.